Let's talk about retirement today. Today's episode comes from a question that a client submitted to me. And what she said was, I'm older. Like, I want to know if it's too late for me to catch up on retirement. So I'm really excited to get into this because there is a lot here that we've been conditioned to believe. So this will be great. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. We are talking about retirement today. I had a client who submitted a question and she was essentially asking if it's too late to catch up for retirement. So we're going to dive into the idea of retirement today. And I've got two keys to success for creating success, like retirement success. There we go. As an entrepreneur. So yeah, let's get to it. First, before we can go anywhere, we have to talk about the idea of retirement because there is a lot of conditioning that's been created. So we were all taught, go to school, get good grades, get a good paying job, and then you'll be set to retire, all those things, right? But where did that idea come from? Because honestly, like that thought process, that a dream doesn't work any longer. This was created during the industrial age, whenever they were trying to get everybody to come work in the factories. It was like, we're going to take care of you. You're going to do this. You're going to be set. And then, once you get to 65, you can retire. But we're not living in the industrial age anymore. Even if we just look at the last couple years, with everything that has happened in the economy, inflation, we're going to get into that here in the next couple months on the podcast because those things are very important to understand and how you're showing up and doing things with your money. But just look at it. I mean, that things are not the same place that it was before. So the idea of retirement, is that something that you're even working towards? I was having a conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago about the idea that, we have to save everything. We talked about, I'll link to the YouTube video, or the podcast episode as well, that we talked about this. And it was like, you need to stop saving everything for a rainy day. And there was a lot of comments on there that people didn't understand what I was talking about. And the point is, we have been conditioned to believe that we need to save everything. There's a lot of indoctrination that goes on, that we need to save everything. We need to do this. And, you're wrong if you're in debt, and all of those thought processes, that we have to do all these things to be able to get to this age, this retirement age, and then all of a sudden you can live life. When that's not what most of us are actually looking for, right? Are you, what if you could still have fun, enjoy, create those lasting memories now and still work towards the future? It can be a both thing. And that's one of the keys that we have to work through with retirement, especially as entrepreneurs, because, we want to create this lifestyle, but then we feel like we have to be doing all these things as well. And there can be a both. And the two keys that I'm going to get to in a minute are going to help you create that success. Okay. But there's a blend. There's enjoyment now with where you're at. And this is why we talk about like having the balance. This is why percentage-based budgeting works so well, because you're able to prioritize the things that are important to you and you're able to still have fun and prioritize those things now. Enjoy the money now. There's not somewhere always to get to. Yes, we're working towards somewhere. We have that goal, we have that vision, but there's still success now. And that is key. So if you're waiting and you don't want to have any fun now, you're just like, I'm going to save everything on the hope, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know if you're going to be here. There could be a car accident, there could be who knows? So that blend, enjoying where you're at now, that way you don't get to the end of your life. And yes, you can leave $1 million or whatever to your kids, but not having those memories, not having that time, that space to enjoy it. So we want that balance. And that's my first thing that I want to make sure we're working towards. It's not, if you feel like you have to catch up for retirement, it implies you're behind. and you're not behind. There's nowhere like that's just the thing. We're just working to improve. Where you're at is where you're at. There's nothing we can do to change the past. So sitting in that negative, that down energy isn't going to do you any good. So if you want to prioritize this more, you want to set aside more for retirement now, fantastic. It's never too late. The only time it's too late is when you're dead. So it's not too late because you're still here to do something about it. Okay. Um, right. We talked about the idea of retirement, what we're actually looking for. We're not just trying to save everything. We're going to have that blend now that you're having fun with your money, you're doing things, but acknowledging. But for most of us as entrepreneurs, we we enjoy what we do, right? So are you really truly looking to build this and then walk away, not do anything? Or you just want to be able to do it less? And this is kind of where like financial freedom, the idea of financial freedom comes into play. And we have to kind of define financial freedom because again, there's a lot of myth out there and misconceptions about what financial freedom actually is. So you attain financial freedom when it's passive income. Your passive income exceeds your expenses. So passive income means it does not take you. So your coaching business is not a passive income stream. There's nothing wrong with it being an active income stream, but we need to be aware that's not financial freedom. So long term, yes, maybe you want to walk away, you want to sell your business, whatever that might be. And that's fantastic if that's what you want to do. But for a lot of us, I think we enjoy what we do. We want to continue to do it. We have that drive, that passion, like we have to stay active. We want to keep doing things. Maybe we just do less of it, less hours. And that's still feasible. And that's a whole different conversation because then we can talk about pricing structures and packages and all those to streamline and scale. And I do a lot of that now, so we can have that conversation. If you want to have that conversation, send me a message on Instagram and let me know at Aimee Cerka because I'm doing that now when I have kids at home, young kids at home that I want to spend time with. Like I'm not taking a ton of one-on-one clients because I'm not going to spend hours on coaching calls, right? So it's just how you're structuring things and looking at the possibility of what you would want. And if it's something that you want to walk away, maybe you build a business and then you sell it. There's different strategies to get that quick cash infusion. That's possible. But we're talking strictly retirement. We could even say more traditional retirement. And this applies to savings as well. There's two keys, and there are two principles really to ensure that you are successful. And this has been proved with study upon study upon study that it has nothing to do with your income level at all. Actually, it's more statistically likely that a teacher will become a millionaire than a doctor just because of the discipline level we talk about all the times, even with debt. Those who win the lottery, like it's not a good strategy because within 5 years, most of them are filing for bankruptcy and in a worse spot than they were before they won the lottery because we haven't had these principles, these keys in place to help you stay successful, stay in that success mindset when the cash infusion comes. So setting this up now, regardless of what it looks like, is going to be the key to creating success and that retirement success that you're looking for. And we can also apply this to savings as well if you're not specifically looking at retirement. Okay. So, two keys to being successful long term. The first one's staying consistent. You have to be consistent. And this is why we talk about with the savings account, even if it's just $25 a month that you're putting in, if things are really tight, you don't have the extra, $25 a month, $50 a month. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's the habit of staying consistent and doing it repeatedly, month after month after month, that is going to make you see success. And the second part here is going to help with that, but you have to do it first, okay, here. The second thing, we have to stay consistent with it, right? Like just month in, month out, doing the thing that know you need to do, prioritizing it and knowing that you're going to figure it out no matter what. This is again, percentage-based budgeting helps with that, with the consistency. The second piece is automation. You are so much more likely to succeed when you automate it. Now, a lot of times we'll hear this talked about with traditional like traditional W-2 income that you can put, I don't know, 10% into savings, or, we had the 401k, whatever that might be, and it's done before you even see the money. And that works great. If you can do that, that's automated. Again, you don't have to handle it. But you don't necessarily have that in place when you're running your own business. You could, if you've got payroll set up and all those things, then it just probably have to pay your bookkeeper or whoever a little bit more to set up those things. So the way that we automate, air quotes here for the podcast listeners, way that we automate this in a manual way is our weekly check-ins. So every single week when you sit down and do the income, the first thing that you do is designate the spot. Now you can do this twice a month if you want. That's what Profit First teaches. You could do it once a month depending on where you're at. But I prefer the weekly because, again, it's the consistency, and you build that habit. You also set things up 2 weeks in advance, or to take care of things for 2 weeks. So if you got off a week, some life got crazy, emergency happened, and you missed a weekly check-in, it's not the end of the world. But when you sit down and schedule that, you're manually doing the transfer, but it's in an automated fashion because you've scheduled this on a regular basis, and we're doing it continuously. It doesn't matter what the income level is. You have the percentages set up to consistently prioritize the savings, to consistently prioritize retirement. Whatever it might be, doing those things, making the decision, doing it consistently, doing what you can do. Yes, it might not feel like a lot in the moment, but that habit that you're creating is what's going to create the success. And then we can look at your packages. We can look at your offers. We can look at how you're doing things for that quick, the bigger cash infusion to be able to fund more there. All right. And then if you want to prioritize, we just adjust the percentages, and you can allocate more towards retirement, towards savings. That was what we talked about a couple weeks ago with getting your finances summer ready. So it's a great time to sit down and look at, like, okay, what's shifted? What's changed? What do you need to work on? Okay. All right. We talked about the idea of retirement, where that actually came from, and if it's something that you actually want to work towards. Because again, for a lot of us, like, that's not the goal that we're working towards. I'm not trying to get to this magical age of 65 and then retire and sit on the porch swing. Like, I'm still going to want to do things. Like, we're the ambitious go-getters, right? Like, we want to do the things. We have to stay active, and you're going to do that. So let's reframe, let's ditch the mindset that indoctrination, that this is what we have to do, because it's not. There is no cookie cutter strategies here, right? You're building the life that you want to have, the finances, the lifestyle that you want. And so let's create that for you. And then we talked about the 2 keys to actually being successful long-term within your finances, retirement, savings. It's the same principles. You have to stay consistent, and then you have to automate it. If you can actually automate it, fantastic. If you're manually automating it with scheduling in your weekly check-in to make sure you're moving the money, pro tip, put it in a separate bank if you're doing your savings account. If you're funding like a 401k or something, that's going to be a little different because that's out of sight, out of mind. But put your savings account at a separate bank so that you don't see it when you log into your checking account. We can link to that episode as well, because we've done an episode on that. Crazy results show up when you just do that little thing. Because again, it's not complicated. We just have to do these simple things, these simple shifts, and all of a sudden you're unstoppable because we've made money simple. All right. That's what I've got for now. If you have a question, if you're a client, make sure you're in the Facebook client community. We can feature you here on the podcast as well. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. If you're struggling with shame and guilt around your finances, whether it's debt, impulse spending, mistakes from the past, or the fact that you still haven't hit your income goal, then it's time for you to work with me. There are different levels of support and price points that you can use on the path to removing that guilt and shame so you can step into your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique to you, and your support should be too. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of my most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what that next step should be. And those links are hanging out in the description of this video as well.